Hi folks, welcome to your latest mwis planning outlook in association with Ellis Brigham. Now the upcoming week to 10 days sticks with generally west or southwesterly weather patterns prevailing. We've got fairly high pressure and zones of high pressure which will push northwards at times, but just a bit of a frustrating story where we'll drag in some humid air and some low cloud onto western hills. There'll be a bit of rain now and again focused on western Scotland, and some days rather windy, even touching gale force on the high top, so it's not absolutely glorious summer at this stage. The sequence for the days ahead goes something like this then, and it's the humid tropical maritime southwesterly weather pattern that is in charge through the middle of this week. It's dragging in a lot of moisture off the mid-Atlantic, so will shroud most of our western hills and mountains in low cloud to the lowest slopes around the coasts, and there'll be some rain and some drizzle fairly frequently in these western areas as well. And just with a little bit of instability in the whole picture too, there will be a few pulses of heavier showery rain passing eastwards through the day on Wednesday. Eastern regions generally seeing the better of the cloud breaks and a bit of sunshine. The winds then quite gusty south-southwesterlies, strongest typically nearest to western coasts. It stays a rather blustery and gusty day into Thursday across many of the higher hills. We've got, again, a rather damp atmosphere still dragging in on a southwesterly. We have some cold fronts which are away toward the north. They're not changing the air mass that much at this stage, so we're stuck again with a story of very low cloud covering most of the western hills to low levels. Some patchy light rain and drizzle, not really amounting to a great deal for most on Thursday, but leading to a rather damp picture across those western areas. Drier, brighter, clearer conditions further east with some sunshine coming through at times. High pressure stays toward the south on Friday. We've got a weak cold front just sinking southeastwards across Britain. Now that is just a subtle change of air mass then to something a bit cooler with lower humidity across Scotland. Now exactly where that cold front lies will dictate how well we do in terms of improving the cloud bases and getting some breaks to develop. It does look like an improving day though across much of western Scotland. Still some cloud covering the higher tops, but lifting and breaking higher than previous days. One or two squibs of showers, a bit of patchy rain or drizzle associated with that front as well, sinking southwards. A greater risk still of low cloud hanging on across the hills nearer the Irish Sea, so Cumbria and West Wales could still be rather plagued with low cloud. Some breaks though toward the eastern side of major hill groups, and really not that much if any rain left on that front as it does sink further southwards. Strongest of the winds across northern Scotland, rather blustery again, could still be touching gale force on the higher Scottish summits. Into the weekend, and we do see our area of high pressure building northwards, at least temporarily, to give a generally good day. Light winds for many places, but northern Scotland still feeling a rather brisk westerly flow and a rather cool feel at this stage, with the air having come around off the northern half of the Atlantic behind that cold front which has gone away eastwards. So at least a cool start to Saturday, temperatures lifting a bit as the daytime goes on, and generally not as humid as it was in the middle of the week. We might though just still have a few lingering banks of low cloud clinging to some of the coastal hills around the Irish Sea, but a greater chance of breaking up as the day is going on. So Saturday at this stage looks the better of the days ahead, and likely the better day of the weekend on the whole. For many places though, Sunday still looks a reasonable day, but we're just seeing the high slip slightly further southeastwards, which for Scotland at least brings another strengthening southwesterly flow in. Now that, with some fronts just skirting to the north, has a greater risk again of bringing some low cloud to western coastal mountains, and a bit of patchy rain or drizzle here and there, but not amounting to a great deal. Better of any cloud breaks toward the eastern side of the Highlands. A rather brisk southwesterly wind then for these more northern mountains. Come further southwards, and the winds likely to stay light. Some just patches of low cloud and mist maybe in the morning, but should largely break up. The air that's been dragged in from the southwest though is of an increasingly warm and humid nature once again, so the potential for Sunday to be a much warmer day, even a hot day, across England and Wales and eastern Scotland as well. So bear that one in mind, that temperatures again are on the rise. So it's this sort of sequence of bumps of high pressure and occasional bits of lower pressure coming in off the Atlantic as we look at the big picture through the weekend into the start of next week. This is through Saturday, Sunday. And by the time we get to Monday, it's just likely that the high shifts eastwards a bit. Another high from the Azores tries to build northwards again. All in all, it still looks a reasonable picture. We might just have a westerly breeze that is stronger across Scotland again for a while. The timing is going to be tricky, it must be said, getting day-to-day detail at this far ahead, but I just think that idea of some back and forth patterns into next week with just the risk of something much windier and a bit cooler for a day or so into the middle of the week, Tuesday into Wednesday perhaps, just as an area of low pressure passes to the north of Scotland and we just lose the influence of higher pressure for a day or so. So a bit more changeable, some rain or some showers, and the winds maybe more widely strong or even up to gale force on higher tops for a day or so. There is a bit of a question mark then, just where we go beyond the middle of the week, whether higher pressure completely comes back in or we just stay under a rather more mixed pattern coming off the Atlantic. At this stage, though, I'd suggest as we look at the general pressure anomaly pattern for the week as a whole through until the 21st of June, it suggests that we're still beneath higher than average pressure, which brings the idea that conditions are mainly fair, particularly across England, Wales, southern Scotland, but just slightly lower pressure to the north may keep northwest Scotland that little bit more changeable more often. That's the sort of feeling for the week as a whole. It could be eventually that one of these highs just builds a bit further eastwards, parks itself somewhere just east of Britain and drags in again some much warmer conditions as we go further ahead. We'll keep you up to date with those developments. That's been your planning outlook in association with Ellis Brigham. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.